Good day and welcome. Today I'm going to talk about the book Magician by Raymond Feist. It was published in 1982, 550 pages long, and the first book in the Rift War saga. There's an initial trilogy, and there have been a number of other books published in Rift War. So, two things I kind of want to get out of the way when I first start talking about this book. The first one is um, when I was reading the introduction to this book at one of the times I've read it, Raymond Feist is the one who talks about writing ripping good yarns, which is one of my criteria for what makes a good book. So, Magician is on this list because it is absolute fun to read. And that doesn't mean that the characters don't suffer any adversity. And that doesn't mean that there are things that I disagree with about this book but generally speaking, this is a book that you can sit down and just start plowing through it, and it's fun to read. The other comment that I'm going to make about this book is for someone who's used to more modern fiction, this is going to be very dated. It was published in 1982. There are kind of three co-protagonists, two men and one woman, and the men have these story arcs that are very compelling and take them to great heights and accomplish great things, and the woman is kind of doesn't really have as much of a say in the story. So for a modern audience, they're going to find that a little bit maybe not enjoyable to read, weird, dated, however you want to say it. And yeah, that's absolutely a problem. The other comment I would make is one of the things I talk about in books is you want to have interesting characters that things happen to. And that's absolutely true. Reading a character about someone that works in a kitchen and never does anything with their life would be incredibly boring. On the other hand, occasionally Magician does go a little bit too far. And by that I mean Pug, who's one of the main characters, one of the protagonists in the book, ends up becoming one of the most powerful magicians in the world. Okay, kitchen boy to most powerful magician in the world. A little excessive. There's a character that you run across in later books, I think you run across him in Magician as well, called Jimmy the Hand, who is a um, apprentice thief in a thieves guild, and his goal is to become Duke of Krondor, which is sort of the second most powerful man in the kingdom. And spoiler, I think by the end of one of the books, possibly the third one, I don't remember, but he does. And it's just so these characters have these very high overarching goals which they achieve. And every once in a while I just kind of read the book and I'm like, really? But generally speaking, the book does read well and it goes through. And if people get maybe a little bit excessive rewards at the end of the story, probably not that big of a deal. The book itself is a very simple, I mean, simple in the sense of the storyline itself is fairly simple. There's a rift between worlds, which connects the worlds, which connects two worlds, and one of the worlds is invading. And so Pug and Thomas, who are the two co-protagonists, embark upon various adventures, including being captured and taken to the other world and being raised as a slave there, etc. And eventually they triumph. Um, Good book, really enjoyable to read. I don't really want to get into the details of the plot. But you talk about ripping good yarns and books that are just fun to sit down and read. This is a very basic high fantasy book, which has a plot arc which takes two characters from relative obscurity to great fame, and you enjoy reading it along the way. So that's That's what's important. Either way, appreciate your time and listening. Thank you, and we'll talk again later.